My beloved child, stop everything you're doing right now because I am here. Yes, right now. I am standing in your room, not in imagination, not as a distant hope, but as a living, breathing presence closer than the air in your lungs. You are not alone. You never were, and you never will be. I have watched you pace that floor in silence, your heart screaming with questions no one could hear, your mind trapped between trusting me and fearing what tomorrow might steal from you. But I couldn't remain still. Heaven has paused because my focus is on you in this moment. I came not with casual comfort but with a divine urgency, because something is about to shift and I don't want you to miss it. You are on the edge of a breakthrough you didn't see coming. I am not speaking to your outer self, the one you show the world. I am addressing your soul, the part of you crying out when the room goes quiet and the mask falls off. My presence is not here to observe but to intervene. This is not just a holy visit, it's a rescue mission. I stepped into your space because time is moving, and the enemy has tried to get ahead of you with distraction, delay, and discouragement. But I am not letting that happen. I am cutting through the confusion. I am silencing every lie you believed about yourself. I am standing between you and the next mistake you were about to make out of fear. Listen to me carefully. I came not just to be acknowledged, but to be obeyed, because what I say in this hour is your survival. You prayed for answers, and I showed up with revelation. You begged for comfort, and I arrived with strategy. You wanted peace, and I came bearing power. Don't wait for another sign. This is it. This is me. This is now. The shift begins the moment you stop resisting and start listening. I did not walk in just to pat your back. I came to reset your life from the inside out. And I will not leave until every wall of hopelessness collapses and every lie that buried your purpose is burned away by my truth. So look out. Breathe deeply. I am not far. I am here. I am speaking. And everything is about to change. You didn't have to say a word. I heard what your silence was screaming. Every night you turned away from the light and let your tears speak into your pillow. I was right there, catching every drop as if it were the most precious oil. You were never invisible to me. While the world saw your smile, I witnessed your storm. You tried so hard to stay composed, to hold everything together for others while everything inside of you felt like it was falling apart. You've been misunderstood, overlooked, and misjudged by people who never took the time to look into your heart. But I did. I always have. And those moments when you felt like no one noticed your pain, I did more than notice it. I carried it. I felt your heartbreak shake the very atmosphere of heaven. That's why I had to come here, right now, into this very space you're sitting in. Because no one else knew how deeply you've been hurting, and no one else can heal what I'm about to touch. The sorrow that you've buried so deeply beneath your strength has not gone unnoticed. You thought you were crying alone, but you were never weeping in isolation. Your tears have been an offering, a cry of the soul that pierced through every barrier and reached my throne. And I didn't just sympathize, I moved with intention. I moved with urgency. Because what wounded you tried to redefine your worth, and I couldn't let it continue. I came to show you that your pain is not your identity and your tears are not your defeat. I am placing my hand on every part of your soul that still flinches from what happened. I am healing the wounds they left behind, even the ones you didn't think anyone knew about. I know about the betrayal, the rejection, the disappointment that left you questioning your value. But I need you to know this with unshakable certainty. You are not broken beyond repair. You are not forgotten in the shadows. You are not abandoned in your grief. What others dismissed as weakness, I see as beauty, because your tears showed me that your heart is still alive, still tender, still reaching for something greater than this moment. That reaching, that hunger, that ache is what drew me to you tonight. I came not because you cried, but because your tears were honest. They told me that even through the hurt, you still long for me. And I respond to longing like that with the fullness of my love. This is not pity. This is restoration. I came to rewrite the story that your sorrow tried to end. I am breathing into your spirit, reviving the parts of you that have grown numb from disappointment. You are about to feel joy again. You are about to smile without forcing it. You are about to sleep without fighting nightmares. Your tears were seeds, and now the season of harvest has come. So don't hide your face lifted. Look at me. I am still here, and I am not leaving. You never cried alone, and you never will again. You kept looking around, hoping for a sign, a signal, a whisper, anything that might tell you I hadn't turned away from you. But the silence made you question. The stillness made you wonder. You thought perhaps I was busy with more important matters, that maybe your situation was too small to matter to the one who holds the universe. But I need you to hear this loud and clear. I was never distracted. I was never absent. I didn't look away from you even once. Every breath you took, I was measuring it. Every second of your struggle, I was present in it. When you felt like no one understood what you were carrying, I did. When your prayers felt like they bounced off the ceiling, I was catching every word before it even left your lips. I didn't miss the moment you almost gave up, and I didn't stay away when you doubted if I cared. I stayed. I remained. Even when your faith was flickering, my gaze never shifted. I watched over you not as a distant king but as a devoted father, as a shepherd who knows exactly where his beloved is even when they feel lost. I saw you hold on to hope with trembling hands. I saw the way you pushed through the fog of uncertainty, even when you couldn't see one step ahead. I know the strength it took to keep walking, to keep trusting, to keep showing up when it felt like no one saw you at all. But I saw it. I saw it all. And I want you to understand something vital right now. I was not testing your ability to hold on. I was preparing the right moment to step in and show you just how deeply anchored you are in me. The delay was not neglect, it was timing. Divine timing. If I had moved earlier, you would have missed the maturity, the clarity, the depth that this valley formed in you. And now, I'm here not to apologize for my silence, but to reveal that I was speaking through it the whole time. Every door that stayed closed was not me forgetting you, it was me protecting you from settling for less than what I destined. You've been waiting for confirmation, and this is it. You have been carried in my hands every step of the way. There was never a second where I wasn't completely attentive to your needs, even the ones you didn't know how to voice. And now that you've reached this moment, this sacred turning point, I'm here not only to affirm that I remember you, but to show you that everything you thought was wasted is about to be transformed into a foundation for what's next. What's coming will require the endurance you gained through the silence, the wisdom born in the waiting, and the unwavering trust you built when nothing made sense. I have kept my eyes on you because you are not a background character in my plan. You are central to what I'm unfolding next. I watched you walk through fire, and now I'm preparing to place you in rooms you didn't even know you were being prepared for. You didn't lose me. I've been walking with you even when you thought you were alone. You are not overlooked. You are not irrelevant. You are my chosen, my beloved, my focus. And I didn't just stay close, I wrote your name into every detail of what's about to be revealed. Right now, as you sit there wondering how much longer you can carry this weight, I have already begun to calm the invisible war within you. You haven't spoken it aloud, but the chaos has been loud inside, your thoughts crashing into each other like waves in the middle of a hurricane, and your emotions shifting so violently that you can't even find the ground to stand on. I saw you all. I watched as you tried to appear stable on the outside, while inside your spirit trembled beneath the burden of unanswered questions and relentless pressure. You smiled while shattered. You functioned while fraying. But I'm telling you now, I did not come into your space to simply observe. I came to interrupt the unrest that's been stealing your breath. This isn't just a visit. This is a divine takeover. Every piece of turmoil that had been spinning in your chest is being brought to stillness by my presence. Where fear has taken root, I'm replacing it with peace that doesn't need permission to enter. Where dread has poisoned your outlook, I am pouring a flood of clarity to cleanse what has been polluted by doubt. You've been trying to silence the noise with distraction, with routine, even with spiritual effort, but none of it could quiet the depth of the storm within you. That's why I came myself. Because you didn't need more advice, more information, or more opinion. You needed the authority of my voice to speak to what's been tormenting you. I am that voice, and I'm not whispering. I am commanding the storm to bow. I'm not asking the chaos to leave gently. I am forcing it out, casting it into the silence it once tried to bury you in. I saw what anxiety tried to build in you. I saw the fear attempting to make a home in your mind. I saw how panic would sneak in while you tried to rest, how your heart would race in the stillness, how your sleep was stolen night after night. And I've come to say enough. Enough of the internal storms that made you question whether you were losing your mind. Enough of the invisible battles no one else could see but you carried every single day. I am dismantling every structure of unrest brick by brick. I am touching the root of what has made you so restless, not just the symptoms, but the core. You no longer have to pretend to be okay. You no longer have to figure everything out. I did come expecting you to have the answers. I came to bring resolution where there's been only confusion. You've been tormented long enough. You've cried in secret, asking me if peace would ever return, and my answer is not delayed, it is now. Right now. This very breath. You may not feel it immediately, but something is already shifting beneath the surface. You don't need proof before you trust my presence is your evidence. I do not stand in rooms where I have no intention of moving. And I'm here. Which means the war is ending. The storm is breaking. The calm you thought you'd never experience again is entering your atmosphere, not because of your strength, but because of mine. And that storm that once looked bigger than you, it just met the one it couldn't overpower. There are wounds within you that have gone untouched for far too long, places you've covered with layers of busyness, smiles, and silence, hoping that if you ignored them long enough, they'd simply disappear. But I see what others miss. I know the injuries you carry in secret, the ones too sensitive to mention, the ones you've built walls around because the last time you opened them, it nearly destroyed you. But I didn't step into your room tonight to watch you pretend you're fine. I'm here because I love you too much to let you live numbed, shut off, and guarded for the rest of your life. I'm not exposing your brokenness to shame you, I'm uncovering it so I can restore what was stolen. I see how you've hidden the memories that still sting, how you've placed certain moments into invisible boxes because revisiting them felt like inviting agony all over again. But even the deepest pain cannot escape my love. I'm not afraid of your history. I'm not intimidated by your scars. I'm not overwhelmed by what you think is too messy to bring into the light. I came with gentle hands and healing power, not to press on your wounds, but to lift the infection out of what's been festering in silence. You thought ignoring it meant overcoming it, but all it did was bury it deeper, allowing it to shape how you see yourself, how you trust, how you live. And now I'm reaching in not to tear open what's fragile, but to breathe life into what's been buried alive. There is no healing in hiding. You've cried enough behind closed doors. You've blamed yourself for things that were never your fault. You've minimized what hurt you to make others comfortable. But I'm here now, and I say no more. No more apologizing for feeling too much. No more pretending the past didn't change you. I am not here to take you backward. I'm here to redeem every place that was robbed of peace, innocence, and joy. And I'm not leaving you in the process. I'm staying through every wave of release, every crack that forms as the walls fall, every tear you didn't expect to surface. Let them come, I'm catching them. Let the emotions rise, I'm not frightened by them. This isn't just healing. This is resurrection. What died in you when they left, when you failed, when you lost, is being revived by the one who never stops redeeming. I came to make you whole again. I came to show you that even the ugliest pain can become holy ground when I step into it. So let me in, not just into your space, but into the hurt you thought would never be touched again. The process may feel raw, but the outcome will be freedom like you've never known. I will not rush you, but I will not let you settle for survival anymore. It's time to feel again, to hope again, to live again not with a patched-up soul, but with a heart fully restored by the one who knew exactly what it needed all along. You're safe now. Not because the world changed it, but because I'm holding what was too heavy for you to keep hiding. This is the beginning of your healing, and I'm not turning away from the process. I'm leading you through it, with mercy that never lets go. You thought no one heard those midnight cries, the ones muffled by blankets, whispered through trembling lips, or spoken only in your heart when words failed you. You believed those moments of desperation vanished into the dark, unnoticed and unanswered. But I heard every single one. When the world was asleep and silence filled your room, I was listening. When the weight pressed down so heavily you couldn't breathe, I was near. You didn't have to shout, I recognized the sound of your breaking. And now, I'm here because I've been waiting for this very hour to respond. Not with delay, not with distance, but with presence. My answer is not just an echo in the wind or a verse from a page. It is me, standing here now, fully aware of everything you've wrestled with. I came because you called, even if you weren't sure I would come. I came because you dared to hope, even while drowning in doubt. And I'm not here to offer vague encouragement or shallow comfort. I am here to bring real change. You asked if I see you. Yes, I do. You asked if I care more deeply than you can comprehend. You asked if I still love you even after all the detours, all the silence, all the sin, and my answer is yes. 1,000 times yes. I have not forgotten the sound of your voice, even when it was hidden beneath sobs or silent sighs. Every plea, every question, every groan of your soul was recorded in heaven as a call for help, and help has arrived. I'm not too late, I'm right on time. You wondered why I didn't answer sooner, why it felt like nothing shifted when you begged me to intervene. But you didn't know that while you were crying, I was already moving. Behind the scenes, in dimensions you couldn't see, I was orchestrating details, repositioning situations, redirecting traps, and removing obstacles that could have destroyed you if I answered in your timing instead of mine. You weren't ignored, you were being prepared. And now that the moment has arrived, I'm not just answering with words, I'm answering with action. Things are about to shift. Doors are about to open that no one can shut. The weariness you've carried from night after night of restless sleep is being lifted. The burden that sat on your chest like a weight you couldn't name is dissolving in my presence. I'm bringing clarity to the confusion that robbed your peace, and I'm replacing hesitation with confidence, not in yourself, but in me. I'm showing you that I never needed you to perform, to earn, to prove anything. I just needed your heart to stay open even if it was broken. And it was. But your broken heart still reached for me. And that's what moved me. I am the God who comes when others walk away. I am the Savior who kneels beside you in the dark, who doesn't wait for you to stand before lifting you. You don't have to pretend with me. I didn't come for your perfection, I came for your pain. I didn't show up to scold you for crying, I came to collect those tears and turn them into the first rain of a new season. A season of restoration. A season where the nights no longer torment you, because the one who made them now sits beside you in them. This is the hour where your cries become psalms of deliverance. I heard you. I've come. And I'm staying until the sound of weeping is replaced by the sound of breakthrough in your life. You've worn that smile like armor, carefully crafted, skillfully placed, so convincing that most people never notice what's really going on beneath the surface. But I do. I see beyond the practiced expressions and polite responses. I see the tremble hiding in your laughter, the tension behind your kind words, the exhaustion behind your silence. There's a fear inside you that you don't talk about, the kind that clings to your every step, whispering worst-case scenarios in moments that should be peaceful. It shows up when things go quiet. It steals your breath in the stillness. It keeps you up when you should be resting. And it isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a subtle tightness in your chest. Sometimes it's the hesitation to hope again. Sometimes it's that unspoken dread that something is going to fall apart just when it starts to get better. I didn't come into your room tonight to pretend that fear doesn't exist. I came to confront it not with judgment, but with mercy and power. I see where it started. I see the exact moment it first crept into your mind, wrapping itself around a memory, a loss, a mistake, a moment when something shattered inside you and was never spoken of again. I see how it grew, how it attached itself to your future, how it distorted your expectations, how it taught you to expect disappointment instead of fulfillment. But I didn't design you to live in survival mode. I didn't create you to constantly prepare for the worst. That fear that tells you to brace for impact, that keeps you scanning for threats, waiting for the next hit, I'm severing it now. I'm reaching into that deep, quiet corner of your spirit where you've hidden the fear so no one would think you were weak. I'm not asking you to fight it alone, I'm pulling it out by the root. I'm not here to just speak peace over you. I'm here to implant it so deeply in your soul that fear has no place left to cling to. You've been trying to manage it. You've adjusted your dreams to accommodate it. You've lowered your expectations to avoid triggering it. But I'm not adjusting to fear, I'm eliminating it. That voice in your head that says, "What if everything goes wrong?" I'm replacing it with my truth. What if everything falls into place because I'm with you? I know what fear has cost you. I know the doors you didn't walk through, the opportunities you didn't take, the love you push away, the risks you refused, all because fear told you safety was better than disappointment. But I'm rewriting that mindset. I'm restoring boldness, not recklessness, but holy confidence. You were never meant to shrink into corners. You were meant to rise with authority. That trembling feeling that something bad is always around the corner, I rebuke it. That inner warning that makes you second-guess every good thing, I silence it. You don't have to hold back anymore. You don't have to smile through fear pretending it's not there. I'm giving you real courage. The kind that doesn't shake when storms come. The kind that remembers who stands beside you when the winds try to return. I'm not ignoring your fear, I'm walking straight into it, with light so strong it cannot hide. Fear has been a shadow behind your strength, but I am the light that casts out every shadow. I am lifting your chin not just to encourage you but to anchor you in the truth. You are not in danger, you are in my presence. And my presence will not tolerate what has been stealing your breath. Let your guard down. You don't have to fight fear alone anymore. You don't have to smile while drowning. I came to end the cycle. You're coming out not with shaky steps, but with steady ones, because I am holding you in the truth that no fear can break. You've been surrounded by people yet still felt completely unseen, like your voice echoes but never lands, like your soul stretches but never finds something solid to cling to. Loneliness isn't just the absence of company, it's the ache of feeling invisible in the middle of a crowd, the quiet agony of believing that no one truly understands you, not deeply, not wholly. And it has built a fortress around you. Not all at once, but brick by brick through rejection, abandonment, repeated misunderstandings, and unspoken disappointments. You stopped reaching out because the silence on the other end began to hurt more than the silence of solitude. I watched how you slowly withdrew, not because you wanted to be isolated, but because being available to others felt like handing them weapons they didn't know they held. I saw how you smiled less, trusted slower, and loved cautiously, not because you lacked the ability to care, but because you were tired of being the only one who did. I came into your room tonight not just to sit with you in your isolation, but to walk you out of it. This isn't just a moment of comfort, it's a holy jailbreak. I am placing my hand on the locked doors you sealed shut, the emotional rooms you never invited anyone into, the internal places where you stored grief under layers of "I'm fine." You were never meant to live locked away in a cell of self-protection. The world taught you that vulnerability was dangerous, but I say to you now, where my spirit is, there is freedom. And I brought freedom with me tonight. I'm not asking you to pour out your soul to people who haven't earned that place. I'm asking you to trust me enough to let me step fully into the places even you've tried to forget. I know the real reason you pull away. I know the story behind your silence. I know the names, the memories, the events that triggered your retreat. And I don't despise your caution, I understand it. But I'm not like them. I don't leave when it gets uncomfortable. I don't overlook what's sacred in you. I don't take and disappear. I came to restore what others mishandled. I came to replace walls with bridges, fear with faith, and emptiness with the overflow of my presence. This prison of loneliness has lied to you long enough. It told you you're better off alone, that your heart is too fragile to be held, that your thoughts are too complex to be understood. But I am not confused by you. I am not tired of you. I am not disappointed in you. I made your depths. I designed your layers. I speak the language of your soul. And I did not come into your room just to watch you sit in silence. I came to release you into connection again. Not forced connection. Not shallow noise. But real, honest, soul-deep relationship. Starting with me. Because no human connection can heal what only intimacy with me can touch. I want to walk with you in the early hours when no one texts back. I want to sit with you in the car when the silence grows heavy. I want to remind you moment by moment that you are known. Fully. Deeply. Constantly. Your loneliness may have tried to convince you that being misunderstood is safer than being vulnerable. But I am giving you a new language, one built on truth, not fear. And soon, I will align you with people who don't just hear you, they recognize your spirit. But before that happens, I had to step in and break the lie that you are alone. Because you never were. I have been here through every silent scream, every unanswered call, every fake smile, every canceled plan. I have never once looked away from your loneliness. I came tonight not only to sit in it, but to shatter its hold. You're not just stepping out of isolation, you're stepping into divine companionship that will never grow cold. You've spent so long believing that every failure pushed you further away from me, that every wrong choice added another layer of distance, that the moments you slipped, doubted, or broke down were recorded in some heavenly ledger waiting to be held against you. But that's not why I came tonight. I didn't enter this space with a scale in my hands. I came with lifelines, with mercy, with a plan to pull you out of what you thought would swallow you for good. You see, I know exactly how close you've come to giving up. Not just on your goals or your dreams, but on yourself. I know about the internal collapse, the kind no one notices because you've become so good at carrying it all in silence. I came not to reprimand you, but to interrupt what's been trying to drag you down. You don't need a critic right now. You need a savior. Someone who sees the weight, knows the war, and still steps in with open arms. And that's what I've done. I've watched as despair tried to make itself permanent in your soul. I saw the way weariness tied itself around your ankles, pulling you further into thoughts you never thought you'd think. You've been fighting battles that seemed to multiply every time you gained ground. And even when you tried to pray, your voice cracked under the strain of pretending everything was fine. I heard that silence too. I saw what guilt did to you, how it whispered that you were too far gone, too damaged, too inconsistent for me to take seriously anymore. But child, I never stopped pursuing you. I never once wrote you off. And this moment, right now, is the proof. I broke through the noise to find you. Not to remind you of your mistakes, but to tell you they don't define your future. Not to count your wrongs, but to cancel the shame attached to them. I came because you were starting to believe the lies that said you had to fix yourself before you were worthy of being found. But I find the broken. I restore the fallen. I breathe into what's collapsing. And I am here right in the middle of your mess, not asking you to climb your way back, but reaching into the pit to lift you out. You were never meant to stay stuck in cycles of regret. You were never meant to sink beneath the weight of your own expectations. I am not repelled by the depth of your failure, I am stirred by the reach of your heart. You haven't disappointed me. What you think disqualified you only highlights how desperately you need me, and I love when you realize that. I'm not afraid of your past. I'm not shocked by your struggle. I see it all, and still, I choose you. I did it again. Because my love for you is not performance-based, it's rooted in covenant, not condition. And tonight, I'm cutting through everything that's been keeping you stuck, every lie, every memory, every chain wrapped around your identity. You thought you were drowning, but I was already beneath the surface, preparing to raise you up. You thought this was the end, but it's only the beginning of your rescue. I came to remind you that you don't earn my nearness, you receive it. And I am near. Near enough to hear your breath. Near enough to catch your tears before they fall. And near enough to whisper truth where the enemy shouted defeat. You don't have to clean yourself up for me, I bring the cleansing. You don't have to figure everything out, I bring the strategy. You don't have to pretend you're strong, I bring the power. I came tonight not because you were ready, but because I couldn't wait another moment to bring you out. This isn't about punishment, it's about redemption. And I will not leave until you realize that I came to rescue, not reprimand. You've carried burdens no one else knew the weight of. You've walked through emotional minefields without a map, waking up each day pretending it's manageable, when in reality, the fight has drained parts of you you didn't even know were vulnerable. You've shown up to responsibilities while carrying wounds. You've encouraged others while silently unraveling. You've learned how to function in the middle of personal warfare. But hear me now, you don't have to keep fighting by yourself. I'm stepping in not from afar, not with distant comfort, but with absolute authority. I have entered your struggle, not as a spectator, but as a warrior. Every hidden battle, every internal collapse, every fiery dart the enemy launched while no one was looking, I've seen them all. And I'm not letting you continue under siege. You've become so used to carrying everything on your own that you've forgotten what it feels like to be supported. But I haven't. I remember how I made you designed for relationship with me, crafted to rest in my strength, not wear yourself down with impossible weight. You've grown tired, not because you're weak, but because you've been battling without reinforcement. And tonight, that ends. I'm not just showing up to fight beside you, I'm standing in front of you. I'm pushing back what's been pushing against you. The arrows of accusation, the waves of anxiety, the fog of depression, the shadows of doubt, I'm confronting them now, not with noise, but with power. I know what's haunted you. I know what thoughts have tormented your quiet moments. I know how often you've tried to talk yourself out of giving up. And even when no one else could see the toll, I did. That's why I couldn't stay silent. I've watched long enough. I've allowed the stretching because it produced strength. But I will not allow you to be destroyed by what you were never meant to fight alone. Your cries in the unseen places activated movement in the heavens. Help has come not in theory, not in promise alone, but in me, fully present in your reality. I'm reinforcing your spirit, rebuilding what crumbled while you kept smiling through storms. You won't have to strategize your way through the next wave, I am the strategy. You won't have to pretend it doesn't hurt anymore, I am the healing. You won't have to brace yourself every time the future feels uncertain, I am already in tomorrow, clearing the path ahead of you. No more white-knuckling your way through life. No more waking up in survival mode. No more waking each morning wondering if this will be the day everything collapses. I've taken up your cause. I'm defending your name in rooms you're not in. I'm shutting the mouths that spoke curses over your calling. I'm rebuilding your spiritual stamina, not just to endure but to overcome. You were never meant to be a casualty of this fight, you were destined to become a testimony of what happens when God Himself shows up in the middle of the battlefield. And here I am. The warfare around you doesn't intimidate me. I've already seen its end. I've already declared your victory. You just didn't know I was fighting while you were resting. I've surrounded you with angels you didn't even know to ask for. I've blocked attacks you never even felt. And now I'm inviting you to lay down the weapons you forged out of fear and pick up the peace that comes from knowing I am for you. The weight wasn't meant to be yours forever. The battle wasn't meant to be carried in isolation. Let me fight for you now. Let me war on your behalf. You're not walking back into this struggle alone. You never were. But now, you will know it. The war has been loud not on the outside, but deep within your thoughts. I've seen it. I've heard every question echoing in your head, every contradiction pulling you in opposite directions, every swirl of uncertainty that made you hesitate instead of move forward. You've second-guessed yourself more times than you can count. You've wondered whether you're hearing me or your own fears, whether you're walking by faith or falling into another trap. That internal conflict, the one where peace never seems to settle for long, I came to address it tonight. Not with more thoughts, but with clarity. I am hovering over the chaos that has taken up residence in your inner world, and I am silencing the noise that has made rest feel like a distant memory. Confusion is not from me, it never was. I don't speak in circles. I don't lead with ambiguity. I don't fill your spirit with doubt and call it discernment. That fog you've been walking through, the mental weight that made even the simplest decisions feel heavy, I'm lifting it. I'm commanding the swirl to cease. I'm bringing alignment where distraction and deception tried to divide you. And I'm doing it gently, yet thoroughly, because I know how deeply rooted some of those thoughts have become. They didn't form overnight. They came from wounds, from lies you didn't recognize at the time, from disappointments that change how you see yourself, others, and even me. But I'm restoring your perspective. Not just on situations, but on who I am and who you are in me. You've been stuck between what if I fail, and what if I never try. Never far too low. That tug of war is ending. I'm handing you divine certainty, not the absence of questions, but the presence of unwavering direction. You won't feel like you're walking in circles anymore. I'm anchoring your thoughts in truth so they stop drifting toward destruction. Internal exhaustion that came from thinking too much, worrying too long, analyzing what you can't control, it's ending right here. I'm calming your mental storms, not with temporary silence, but with a permanent shift in atmosphere. From now on, when confusion tries to return, it will crash against a mind that's covered in my peace. My voice will rise above the doubt. My presence will override the panic. I didn't just come to visit your room, I came to take dominion over the space in your mind that's been under siege. No more fear disguised as logic. No more torment wrapped in indecision. I am resetting your internal compass, and it will always point to me. You'll know what to say. You'll know when to move. You'll know what to release and what to pursue, not because you will always feel certain, but because you will know my peace, and my peace will become your confirmation. What once felt blurry will begin to sharpen. What seemed out of reach will come into focus. You won't feel torn between thoughts anymore. You won't live in the realm of maybe and what if. I am speaking definitively into your spirit, and what I speak brings order. I do not offer confusion. I cancel it. I don't leave you wandering. I lead you beside still waters. Tonight, I place my hand on your head, not as a gesture, but as a declaration. Your mind belongs to me, not to fear, not to trauma, not to the past. And from this moment forward, you will think with clarity, discern with confidence, and rest without the interruption of internal unrest. What held your mind captive has just lost its grip, because I've arrived to set it free. You've been stretched thin, constantly trying to meet expectations, manage crises, fix what's broken, and still smile through the fatigue that's worn you down deeper than you'll admit. I see how you've been piecing your life together with trembling hands, pretending you're strong because everyone else depends on you to be. You've been the reliable one, the one who never says no, the one who holds others when they are breaking, yet inside, you felt yourself slipping away. Piece by piece, you sacrificed your peace, your energy, even your own needs just to make sure everything around you doesn't collapse. You thought, if I let go, everything might fall apart. But child, while you were trying to hold the world on your shoulders, I was reaching out to hold you. I didn't create you to carry it all alone. I didn't ask you to become the glue that holds together the pieces of everyone else's chaos while your own heart breaks in silence. That pressure, that responsibility, that invisible load, you were never designed to bear it in isolation. That's why I came into your room tonight. Not to applaud how much you've endured, but to rescue you from a life that slowly emptied you while you smiled for the sake of others. You've lost touch with the core of who you are, not because you're careless, but because you've been too busy surviving to truly breathe. I'm not here to demand more from you. I'm here to give. To pour into the space that's been dry for so long. To restore the parts of you that you had to shut down just to keep going. I know you've told yourself, this is just what life is, but I say, no, this is not how I meant for you to live. You've accepted exhaustion as normal, numbness as peace, and overextension as love. But I'm turning that around. I'm pulling you back into rest, not just physical rest, but soul rest. The kind that allows you to exhale again. The kind that reminds you that your worth is not in what you hold together, but in who you are in me. I see the tension in your shoulders, the weight in your chest, the tiredness in your eyes, and I'm relieving it. Right now. Not with one more demand, but with stillness, with presence, with peace that doesn't ask for anything in return. You fought so hard to be everything for everyone, but now, let me be everything for you. I want to reintroduce you to the joy you used to feel. I want to restore the laughter that hasn't lived in your voice for a while. I want to remind you that you're not just a caretaker, a fixer, a support system. You are mine. And I delight in you, not for how well you hold things together, but for who you are when you simply let go and lean on me. You don't have to prove your strength anymore. You don't have to earn rest. I came into this moment to hold what you've been carrying. I'm wrapping my arms around your weariness. I'm covering the places in your heart that felt abandoned while you kept showing up for everyone else. I'm not asking you to drop everything recklessly. I'm inviting you to place it all in my hands intentionally. The world won't fall apart if you take a breath. But you might if you don't. And I care too much about you to let that happen. Let me be your strength now. Let me hold what's been too heavy for too long. You don't have to be the hero anymore. You don't have to stretch yourself until nothing's left. I'm here now, not to fix everything instantly, but to hold you until you remember how it feels to be safe, supported, and seen. This is the beginning of a new way of living, one where you're no longer just holding on, but finally being held. There have been whispers that crawled into your thoughts, subtle and persistent, telling you that your efforts are meaningless, your prayers are wasted, your future is slipping away. You've tried to shake them off, drown them out, pretend they don't exist, but they've lingered in the shadows of your mind, growing louder when you're tired and vulnerable. They've disguised themselves as your own voice, making you question if those hopeless thoughts were actually true. I saw you start to believe them. I watched you nod silently when those lies said, "Nothing's going to change. You're not enough. It's better to stop hoping than to keep hurting." But I couldn't remain quiet while those voices tried to rewrite your identity. That's why I've come into your room, not just to comfort, but to confront, to declare with power that those words were never mine. That voice telling you to quit, to back down, to disappear, it is not me. It never was. And I'm silencing it now. I am raising my voice above every lie that's tried to settle into your spirit. I speak with clarity, and what I speak brings life. You are not a failure. You are not forgotten. You are not wasting your time. You are not beyond repair. My truth overrides the opinions of fear, anxiety, and insecurity. I speak over you now, and I say, you are chosen. You are rising. You are still in my plan. You are still the one I want to use, even when you feel least qualified. I see the damage those voices did, the way they made you shrink back when I was calling you forward. I know how they paralyzed your movement, how they dulled your excitement, how they made you settle for less than what I promised. But child, you are stepping into a new sound now, the sound of truth that breaks cycles, the sound of peace that cancels confusion. My truth does not echo fear, it replaces it. My words do not wound, they heal. And my voice does not tear down, it builds what the enemy tried to destroy. You are going to start recognizing me in the silence again. You are going to begin hearing the difference between my voice and the voice of accusation. I am not the one who reminded you of your past to shame you. I reveal only what I intend to redeem. I am not the voice that points out your flaws to embarrass you. I highlight what I'm healing. The next time those whispers come, they will not land the same. They will not take root. Because I'm planting truth so deeply inside you that the lies will suffocate. My word will be louder than the doubt. My promises will be heavier than the discouragement. You're not going to collapse under pressure, you're going to rise under purpose. I'm restoring the authority of your own voice, too. You won't just hear me, you'll speak what I say. You'll declare truth in places where lies used to live. You'll interrupt the patterns that used to control your thoughts. You'll speak life over yourself when no one else is there to remind you. Because I'm filling your mouth with power and your mind with renewal. I came tonight to draw a line. Every voice that did not come from me, every word that made you question your value, your calling, your future, it loses its place now. I'm taking up residence where fear used to echo. I'm moving into the rooms of your mind where the enemy used to whisper in the dark. I don't speak in torment, I speak in truth. And my truth doesn't change with emotions or circumstances. It's fixed. I'm moving. Final. The voice that told you to give up has been overruled. And now, you'll walk forward with the sound of my words guiding every step. You've mistaken your exhaustion for weakness, your weariness for defeat, and the delays around you for signs that you've done something wrong. But I need you to know right now what you're feeling isn't failure. It's evidence that you're still in the fight. You're still pushing forward when you could have given up. You're still standing, even when your knees feel shaky. You're still reaching for me even when your strength is barely there. That is not what failure looks like. This is what resilience in the middle of spiritual warfare looks like. You are not falling behind. You are standing in the thick of a battle that has been trying to wear you down, and you haven't quit. That's what I see. That's what I honor. The enemy has tried to make you interpret your struggle as shame, but I see it as courage. He's tried to tell you that because it's hard, you must be doing something wrong, but I say that because it's hard, it means you're getting close to breakthrough. The intensity of this season isn't proof of failure, it's confirmation that something is being contended for, and you're right in the middle of it. I haven't left you here to survive by yourself. I'm not standing at the finish line waiting to congratulate you, I'm in the fire with you. Every battle that's drained you, every wave that's threatened to pull you under, every moment you thought you couldn't take another step, I was right there, reinforcing your spirit when you didn't even know where your strength was coming from. This isn't about perfection. It's about endurance. I didn't call you because you were flawless, I chose you because I knew you'd keep pressing forward even with a limp. I'm not measuring your success by how much you've accomplished, I'm measuring it by how much you've trusted me in the middle of the unknown. You've been feeling like the war is never ending, but it's because you're breaking through barriers that generations before you never dared to face. You're confronting spiritual patterns that have long gone unchallenged, and that resistance is not because you're weak, it's because you're making progress. You're not stuck, you're being refined. And I am not a distant observer of this fight, I am your defender, your strength, your strategy. I am placing heavenly weapons in your hands, not the kind that the world recognizes, but the kind that shifts atmospheres, the kind that tears down strongholds, binds what tried to bind you, and releases what has been locked up. I am not letting you lose this fight. You've come too far to turn around now. You've wept, fasted, prayed, hoped, and even in your quiet moments of doubt, you didn't stop seeking me. That counts. That matters. That moves me. I know what it has cost you to stay faithful. I know how much it took to keep choosing me in the dark, in the waiting, in the confusion. And I will let that go unanswered. I am covering you with my power. I am surrounding you with reinforcements. I am standing guard over your mind, your heart, your home. You are not fighting alone, and this battle is not endless. Victory is not some distant dream, it is your inheritance. It is already being established. And I am leading you step by step until what I've promised becomes what you see. You don't need to figure it all out, you just need to keep showing up, and I will handle the rest. Because you're not failing, beloved, you're fighting, and your fight is sacred. And with me by your side, this battle will not end in your loss, it will end in your testimony. What you're facing right now may feel like a final chapter, like the last sentence has already been written, and the pen has been dropped in disappointment, but that is not the truth. This sorrow you're standing in, this heaviness that has wrapped around your days and crept into your nights, is not the conclusion of your story. It's the setting for the transformation I'm about to unfold. I know it feels like everything you once counted on has crumbled. I know the grief has whispered that maybe you've missed it, maybe it's over, maybe this was your chance and now it's gone. But I need you to hear me clearly. I am not finished with you. Not even close. This sorrow is not a stop sign, it's a turning point. The mourning, the loss, the unanswered questions, they have not been wasted. They are the soil into which I am planting something you've never seen before. You thought this pain was the end, but I call it the birthplace of purpose. You thought this heartbreak was a full stop, but I'm calling it the comma before the miracle. You are still being written, and I hold the ink. I've seen the tears. I've heard the thoughts you didn't speak to anyone else. I watched as you tried to carry yourself forward, even when it felt like your soul was unraveling beneath the surface. You haven't been forgotten in this grief. I have walked every inch of it with you. I've stood silently beside you in moments you assumed I'd left. I was never gone, I was just waiting for the right moment to shift things from sorrow to glory. And that moment begins now. You don't have to pretend you're okay for me to move. You don't have to rush through the pain for me to redeem it. I meet you exactly where you are, raw, fragile, and sure, and I begin rebuilding from that sacred place. I'm not asking you to forget what hurt you. I'm not erasing the pages where you wept. I'm using them. Every loss will become part of the testimony. Every ache will find meaning in the unfolding of what I've destined you for. You may not see how it's all going to come together, but I see the tapestry from where I sit. What feels like unraveling from your perspective looks like divine weaving from mine. The threads of grief, the fibers of heartbreak, the strands of disappointment, I'm using them all to construct a future you never imagined but always needed. You are not being buried by this sorrow, you are being planted for something greater. And just like a seed must be hidden before it rises, you've been in a hidden season where things felt dark, unknown, and still. But the ground has been preparing you. The silence has been growing you. The ache has been deepening your roots. And soon, you will rise not just as who you were, but as who I created you to be all along. You don't need to rush out of this moment. You just need to know that it's not the end. Your purpose didn't die with the disappointment. Your calling wasn't canceled by that setback. I'm still in control of your narrative, and I'm not writing a tragedy, I'm building a legacy. This next chapter will be marked not by pain, but by power. Not by sorrow, but by strength. Not by loss, but by my love expressed in ways you've never encountered. So lift your head, not because everything makes sense right now, but because I said the story's not over. And what I speak stands forever. I'm not just the author, I'm the finisher. And I never leave a sentence incomplete when it carries my name. You will not be defined by what broke you. You will be known by what I built in you when everything else was falling apart. The ending you feared is just the beginning I'm unveiling. This moment wasn't random, and it's not accidental that you feel what you feel right now. I've arrived with intentionality, on assignment straight from the throne room, carrying instructions sealed with the authority of heaven itself. You may have felt overlooked by people, forgotten by systems, invisible in crowds, but not by me. Not even for a moment. I know what it's like to sit in silence, wondering if your name is still spoken in the courts of heaven. I know how often you've asked, did you still remember what you told me? And I've come to answer that not just with words but with my presence. I carry no forgetfulness. Every promise I've whispered to your heart is alive, waiting for its appointed time. This delay you've been walking through was not me forgetting, it was me preparing. While you questioned if heaven still had you on its mind, I was already moving in dimensions you couldn't see, arranging the very things that would collide with your destiny at just the right moment. And this is one of those moments. You're not waiting alone in some distant corner of my kingdom, you're central to what I'm doing. The weight of heaven's strategy has you written into it. The blueprint of your life is not buried or discarded. It is unfolding in front of you, even in this very room where you thought nothing was changing. My arrival isn't just about comfort, it's confirmation. That vision you had, I haven't shelved it. That calling you felt, I haven't canceled it. That longing inside of you that just won't die, I placed it there. And I'm here to ignite what looked like fading embers. The fire isn't gone, it's just been hidden beneath the ashes of waiting and disappointment. But I've come to breathe on it again. I'm reviving dreams you were ready to give up on. I'm restoring hope in places you didn't even realize had gone numb. I am the God who finishes what he starts, and you, my beloved, are not a forgotten page. I'm still writing your chapter with power. You were never discarded. You were being held, covered, kept, protected from things you didn't even know were forming around you. Heaven has had its eyes on you the entire time. Angels were assigned to you before you knew how to pray. Divine help was stationed around you in moments you thought you were surrounded by failure. I've guarded your destiny with a fierceness that only a loving father can. And now, I've stepped in with clarity. You are seen. You are chosen. You are not behind. You are exactly where I can meet you, lift you, and launch you into what's next. No voice from hell can cancel what I've commissioned. No lie spoken over you can erase what heaven has decreed. What I have written over your life was never dependent on how others treated you. It was established by my will, secured by my blood, and now reaffirmed by my nearness. Don't look around for evidence, look at me. I am your evidence. I am your reminder. I am your fulfillment. I didn't come tonight because you demanded it, I came because you are worth it. My orders weren't just to visit, but to deliver a personal message. You are remembered, you are valued, and everything written about your life is still active. There's no delay that can void your calling. There's no detour that can disqualify what I've ordained. I'm not catching up to your situation, I'm already ahead of it. I didn't just walk into this room tonight, I've been standing by your side, waiting for the exact moment when your spirit would be ready to receive this truth. Heaven has not forgotten. They have not moved on. And this is only the beginning of what I'm about to reveal through your life. I know it's been hard to keep believing when everything around you looks the same, when you wake up to the same heaviness, walk through the same struggles, pray the same prayers, and feel like the only thing that's growing is the silence. You've wondered if your faith is in vain, if your obedience has gone unnoticed, if your trust has produced anything at all. I've heard the questions you didn't say out loud, the ones that surfaced at night when the room went still and your heart couldn't pretend anymore. You looked around and saw no evidence, so you assumed there was no progress. But that's where I step in. Because what you couldn't see, I've been doing. What you thought was inactivity was actually divine construction. I wasn't ignoring you, I was working in places hidden from your eyes. You see, some of the most significant breakthroughs begin in silence. While you were wondering if anything would ever shift, I was rerouting attacks, aligning people, and unlocking doors that needed to remain shut until the exact moment you were ready. My hand was never idle. I've been organizing your steps, refining your environment, even delaying certain things, not to punish you, but to protect you. You didn't know that the silence was strategic. You didn't realize that what looked like stagnation was really sacred preparation. I've been arranging the unseen details that must align before manifestation can emerge. And now, because you didn't give up, because you kept showing up even when it felt pointless, you are stepping into the moment where the invisible begins to take shape. You will look back soon and realize that the waiting wasn't wasted, it was essential. It was the place where your roots grew deep enough to hold the weight of what's coming. I don't allow delay without purpose. I don't pause without plan. What I start, I sustain. And what I prepare, I reveal at the appointed time. You thought I had paused your life, but I was accelerating what mattered most. While you were focusing on what hadn't changed, I was transforming the things you didn't realize needed my attention. Your heart, your endurance, your discernment, your ability to recognize me in the quiet. All of it has been shifting, slowly and powerfully, into something unshakable. Don't confuse stillness with abandonment. I'm not the kind of God who forgets what I promised. I've never missed a deadline in eternity, and I'm not about to start now. You thought nothing was happening because you couldn't measure it. But I measure in eternity, not emotion. I move in alignment, not urgency. I act in fullness, not fragments. And what I've been building in the dark is about to be unveiled in the light. The things that didn't make sense will begin to connect. The prayers that felt like they disappeared will return with answers attached. The closed doors will open with timing that reveals my wisdom. You're not going to have to force what I'm releasing, you're going to walk into it with peace. I'm confirming your steps. I'm clearing your path. I'm lifting the fog that's kept you second-guessing. And in the days ahead, you'll begin to feel momentum where there was once resistance. The ground is shifting under your feet not to collapse, but to carry you into new territory. You thought the waiting would break you, but instead, it has made you ready. You are not the same as when you started this process. You're stronger. You're quieter in your spirit, but bolder in your faith. You're more grounded, more surrendered, more sensitive to me than ever before. That's not nothing. That's everything. And because of that, you're ready for what's next. So don't panic when you don't see immediate change. Trust that I'm still moving, even when it's not visible. I've always been working not in flashes, but in foundations. Not in chaos, but in strategy. And you are about to witness the unveiling of what's been forming while you thought I was silent. You've called it a setback, a stall, even a punishment, but it was none of those. What you experienced wasn't me withholding good from you. It was me holding you in place so you could be protected from what would have arrived too early. There are blessings that come like rain and blessings that come like fire. Both are powerful, but if you're not ready, both can overwhelm. I saw what was ahead when you only saw what was missing. You thought the wait was about proving your patience, but it was always about forming your capacity. I've been shaping your inner world, building endurance into your spirit, and reordering your motives not to delay your destiny, but to ensure it doesn't collapse under pressure when it's delivered. If I gave you everything you asked for when you first prayed, it would have cost you more than it blessed you. I love you too much to allow premature access to something sacred. That relationship you wanted so badly, that opportunity that seemed perfect, that breakthrough you were sure would fix everything. I knew what was tied to it behind the curtain. I saw the full picture, not just the highlight reel. And because I care more about your long-term strength than short-term satisfaction, I said not yet. No, but not like this, not now, not in this condition. I needed to bring healing to the places that would have distorted what I was giving. I needed to break cycles that would have sabotaged your next season. I needed to teach you how to steward peace before giving you the influence you asked for. And so, I covered you with delay not as rejection, but as protection. You were not being punished, you were being preserved. What I'm preparing for you is too big to be rushed. I'm not just giving you the gift, I'm preparing the structure to carry it. The delay hath been divine strategy. While you felt forgotten, I was fortifying. While you doubted, I was anchoring you deeper so you wouldn't be shaken later. While you cried out for more, I was clearing away what would have choked the harvest. And I haven't changed my mind about what I've promised. The fulfillment is still in motion, it's just arriving on my timeline, not your anxieties. You think you're behind, but in heaven's calendar, you're right on schedule. Every moment of waiting hath been building something eternal. Your trust, your identity, your dependence on me instead of outcomes. That's why I slowed the pace, not because you were off track, but because your heart needed more time to align with my design. A hurried gift can become a heavy burden. A rushed destiny can crush the one it was meant to bless. I'm too intentional for that. I'm preparing you, not just to receive the promise, but to thrive in it. You won't be overwhelmed when it arrives, you'll be ready. You'll recognize it. You'll walk into it without fear. And that readiness, this maturity that's forming in the waiting, is the very proof that my delay was never denial. It was me being kind. It was me building something unshakable. So stop resenting the pause. Start seeing it as evidence that I'm hands-on in your story. Every day you thought was wasted was actually packed with purpose. Every moment you questioned was full of movement in realms you couldn't perceive. The longer it takes, the stronger it becomes. And what I release when it's finished will outlast the temporary pain of the wait. Don't try to rush out of what I'm using to grow you. Don't despise the process just because it's not public. When the time is right, and it is coming soon, you'll see what I've been holding for you. And you'll say with clarity, thank you for not giving it to me when I asked, because now I can carry it without collapsing. They watched your struggle and assumed it was your end. They saw your quiet moments and mistook them for defeat. Some even celebrated when you disappeared from their view, thinking the silence meant you were finished. But they don't know who I am in your life. They misjudge the pause for permanent failure, unaware that I often work best in the shadows. They whispered, they mocked, they counted you out too early, forgetting that your story belongs to me, not to their opinions, not to their predictions, and certainly not to their premature conclusions. I've been watching everything they said behind closed doors. I've heard the tones, the lies, the subtle digs meant to diminish your name, and I have not ignored a single one. But more importantly, I saw how you responded. I saw how you didn't retaliate, how you kept your hands clean, how you chose integrity when you could have returned insult for insult. That restraint wasn't weakness, it was spiritual maturity. And now, because you honored me in the fire, I'm preparing to honor you in the open. What I do next will silence every voice that spoke against what I placed in you. The laughter that came at your expense is about to be drowned out by awe. I am flipping the script not out of revenge, but out of justice. I defend my own. I elevate those who trust me when it makes no sense. And you, my beloved, trusted me even when it cost you your reputation. That is not overlooked, it is recorded in eternity. They mocked what they didn't understand. They labeled you based on a season, not realizing I was still writing your next one. And now, I'm turning the page. You will not rise with bitterness, you will rise with brilliance. Not to prove them wrong, but to prove that I am faithful to those who don't give up when the crowd goes quiet. I don't need to shout to vindicate you, I just have to move. And I am moving now. I'm opening doors they said would stay shut. I'm making room for you at tables they never thought you'd sit at. I'm promoting you in places where they tried to bury your name. Your rise will not be subtle, it will be undeniable. And not one of those who scoffed will be able to explain what I'm about to do in you, through you, and around you. I don't raise my children in private only to let their enemies have the final say. I know your outcome is mine to declare. And I say, they laughed too soon. They rejoiced before the full picture was revealed. They misread my silence as your absence. But now, they will witness the unfolding of a promise they thought would never come to pass. And in that moment, their voices will fail them. Their assumptions will collapse. Their predictions will shatter in the presence of my undeniable power moving on your behalf. You didn't fight for revenge because you knew who fights for you. You didn't clap back because you knew your reward was greater than a moment of satisfaction. And that self-control, though it hurt, is what positioned you for this coming shift. I am about to place you where they never imagined you'd go. I am about to favor you in ways they can't block, manipulate, or diminish. This is not just vindication, it is validation. You are rising, not because of their absence, but because of my presence. You are being lifted, not by human hands, but by divine force. And when the elevation comes, you will recognize that it was never about them, it was always about what I was shaping in you while they stared. Let them watch. Let them wonder. Let them be silent. Because the glory that's coming can't be mocked. And the story I'm writing for you will speak louder than anything they ever said. You've reached the point where even your strength feels like it's running on empty, where pushing through has become more about survival than purpose. You've kept going not because it's easy, but because you felt like you had no other choice. You've smiled through exhaustion, spoken life into others while barely holding yourself together, and convinced yourself that weakness was not an option. But I see the toll it's taken. I see the parts of you that have silently collapsed beneath the weight of constant pressure. And I want you to know, you don't have to hold everything up anymore. You were never meant to sustain what I alone can carry. You've tried so hard to be the strong one for your family, for your responsibilities, even in your private moments with me, but I didn't ask you to pretend. I didn't invite you into this walk so you could become your own source. I came to be the strength in your surrender. Not to demand more, but to lift what has crushed you. This moment right here where you feel like you can't take one more step is exactly where my power begins to move in fullness. I am not watching you break so I can test your limits. I am stepping in now so I can rebuild you from the inside out. You don't need to muster up anything. You don't need to force yourself to push harder. You don't need to keep pretending that you're fine when everything in you is trembling. I am not disappointed in your fatigue, I am moved by it. Your worn-out soul is not weakness to me, it's an invitation. It tells me that you've poured out all you had, and now you're making space for me to pour in what only I can give. I am strength, not borrowed strength, not temporary adrenaline, not surface-level motivation, but eternal, supernatural, stabilizing strength that doesn't falter under pressure. And I am offering it to you right now, not when you've recovered, not when you've figured everything out, but in this very breath. I know how long you've been holding your world together with frayed ropes and whispered prayers. I've seen how you've smiled in public while crying in silence, how you've been the anchor for others while feeling like you were sinking inside. But I've stepped into your room not just to observe, I've come to take over the burden. Let me carry what you can't anymore. Let me hold you in the moments when you don't have words, when your heart is too heavy to lift in prayer, when you sit in silence hoping I'll speak first. I will. I am. Right now. I am holding your heart like it's treasure, not like it's fragile. I'm covering you with a peace that doesn't require understanding, only trust. You don't have to perform for me to remain close. You don't have to prove your strength, I already know your limits, and I love you beyond them. This journey is not meant to be walked in your own ability. That's why I'm here. That's why I came to your space, to replace your tension with my peace, your striving with my assurance, your worry with my rest. I don't grow tired. I don't get overwhelmed. And because you are mine, what burdens you now belongs to me. Lay it down not in fear, but in faith. Release the need to have it all together. I never ask for perfection, I ask for your heart. And now that you've reached the end of yourself, I can fully be what I've longed to be. Your strength, your shield, your stability. So lean. Collapse into me if you must. You will not fall, I am already underneath you. I'm not asking for one more ounce of effort, I'm offering an exchange. Your weariness for my power. Your overwhelm for my wisdom. Your limits for my unshakable grip. I didn't bring you this far to leave you running on fumes. You are not alone in this moment, you are upheld by hands that never grow weary. And from this point forward, it will not be your own strength that keeps you going. It will be mine. You are closer than you realize. So much closer. But I see how tired you are, how the weight of unanswered prayers has tempted you to believe that maybe it won't happen, maybe you misunderstood me, maybe you were holding on to something that was never yours. You've been faithful through dry seasons, through uncertainty, through moments when you had every reason to walk away, but you stayed. You waited. You believed. And now you're standing in the final stretch, the threshold where most give up, not because they are weak, but because the pressure right before release is the most intense. You've been asking me if you missed the moment, but I'm telling you, the moment hasn't passed. It's approaching. It's closer than your feelings suggest. The tension in your spirit, that pressure that seems to have no explanation. That's not your imagination, it's the weight of what's about to be birthed. The closer it gets, the more resistance you feel. And that's why I'm speaking to you now. To steady you. To keep you from letting go when you're inches from the very thing you've cried for. You've come through too much to walk away now. You've endured too much pain, sacrificed too much, and obeyed me even when it cost you greatly. I will not let it be for nothing. I did not lead you through all of that just to leave you empty-handed at the finish line. I am not cruel. I am not forgetful. I am not unaware of how long you've been holding on. Heaven has recorded every quiet act of obedience, every time you chose trust over fear, every night you stayed hopeful even when everything around you screamed disappointment. And I promise you none of it has been wasted. I've been building something behind the veil, preparing doors to open, hearts to align, and circumstances to shift. Your breakthrough won't be random, it will be the manifestation of every seed you've sown in tears, every silent battle you've won when no one else was watching. But now you're in a dangerous place, the place where weariness can blur your vision. That's why I came. To remind you that you're almost there. And just because it's been long doesn't mean it's not coming. The enemy wants to exhaust you right before the breakthrough breaks open. He wants you to disconnect from hope so that when the answer finally arrives, you'll be too numb to receive it. But I refuse to let that happen. I'm placing my hands on your shoulders right now to steady you, to ground you in the truth. You're still in the plan. You're still on track. You didn't mess it up. You didn't fall behind. What I started in you, I'm still bringing to completion. Don't measure progress by what you can see with your eyes, measure it by the pressure in your spirit. Because pressure always precedes release. If you could see what I see, you wouldn't be wondering if you should quit, you'd be preparing to celebrate. I know it doesn't feel like celebration right now. It feels like fatigue, frustration, and the temptation to retreat. But that's exactly what tells you how close you are. The enemy doesn't fight what doesn't threaten him. He knows what's about to unfold through your life. That's why the warfare has intensified. That's why the silence has felt heavier. But I am closer than ever, and I'm not going to let you faint here. I'm refreshing your spirit, renewing your strength, and whispering again the words you once believed so easily. I'm not finished. I'm still working. And it's about to happen. Suddenly. Swiftly. Supernaturally. So breathe. Stay anchored. Keep standing. Because the breakthrough isn't just a distant promise anymore, it's at the door, and I came to make sure you don't miss it. Right here, in this very moment, while you're reading these words and wondering if you still have time, I want you to understand something holy is unfolding. What you thought was withheld, what you assumed was denied, what felt lost in silence, it has not disappeared. It's been preserved, guarded until now. The miracle you've been crying for in secret, the one you were almost too afraid to mention anymore, is no longer being postponed, it's being activated. This is a just reassurance, it's divine announcement. As you lean in, something in the spiritual realm is opening. The weight you've endured hasn't been punishment, it was purpose. And I wasn't holding it back to frustrate you, I was keeping it safe until your spirit was ready, your heart was mature, and your surroundings were aligned. What you're sensing right now is not imagination. It's breakthrough moving toward you in real time. You're not being teased with the idea of my power, you're encountering the first ripples of something real, something irreversible, something that cannot be sabotaged by man, time, or the enemy's tactics. I need you to understand this. I didn't forget what you asked me for. I didn't ignore the prayers that soaked your pillow, the fasting you did in the background while still showing up for others, the moments when you said yes to me while your heart ached from every no life handed you. I heard. I recorded. I prepared. And now I release. You won't have to fight your way into this miracle. It will come with peace, not pressure. You won't have to beg doors to open, I will open what no one else can. You won't have to prove your worth. To receive it, my grace is what's delivering it. I am moving now not because you performed perfectly, but because you stayed with me when it made no sense. When others ran ahead, you waited. When others gave up, you stayed planted. And what grows from this kind of obedience is never small. What's coming to you doesn't match your pain, it exceeds it. It will be the kind of blessing that makes others realize I was with you the whole time. It will be the kind of shift that changes your environment, not just your emotions. This isn't a small adjustment, this is a supernatural release. and it begins with your faith opening wide again. I need you to expect it again. I need you to believe that I still do the impossible, not because you deserve it, but because you belong to me. You're my child. And when I say it's time, nothing can resist me. Right now, as you sit in this quiet space, things are being rearranged on your behalf. Conversations are shifting. Timelines are accelerating. Opportunities are aligning. The delay is lifting. The restriction is breaking. The miracle is no longer pending, it is active. But this time, it won't come in the way you expected. It won't look like your last blessing. It won't fit your plans, it will exceed them. And when it arrives, you'll know it wasn't coincidence. It was me. I orchestrated the delay to make room for this precise moment. I crafted it in such a way that no one else will get credit for it. They will see it and know. This had to be God. You didn't push your way into this, you trusted your way here. And now, that trust is being rewarded in real time. As you breathe in my presence, as you let these words sink past your mind and into your spirit, I want you to say it out loud. The delay is over. Say it like you mean it. Because your miracle has already started moving, and this time, it's not passing you by. You assumed I wasn't moving because you couldn't hear me. You believed I had stepped back because your prayers seemed to echo instead of land. You questioned whether I was still with you, still for you, still aware of the war inside your soul. But let me tell you what I was really doing in those quiet moments. I was observing your posture. I was watching how you carried the assignment when the applause stopped. I was measuring your faith, not with criticism, but with tenderness. You see, I do my deepest work in the hidden places. My silence was never punctuated with preparation. I was not ignoring you. I was looking deeper than your words. I was examining your decisions, your attitudes, your inner resolve when no one else could see the pressure you were under. I saw you wake up weary and choose to believe anyway. I saw you question everything but still whisper, I trust you. I saw how your heart broke over and over, yet you still lifted it toward me. You thought I was gone. But I was closer than ever, just silent, because I was refining you. In the stillness, I was strengthening your endurance. In the waiting, I was stretching your capacity. I needed you to stop chasing noise and start recognizing me in the quiet. I wanted your ears tuned to the gentle leading of my spirit, not the loud shouts of your emotions. Because where I'm taking you next, sensitivity to my presence will matter more than your ability to feel comforted. The silence taught you that I am constant, even when you don't feel constant. That I am faithful, even when you feel forgotten. That I am working, even when everything feels stuck. And now, I want to reveal what I've seen while you thought I wasn't watching. I saw honor. I saw perseverance. I saw quiet obedience. I saw the times you turned the other cheek. I saw you choose peace when you had the right to retaliate. I saw you worship through heartbreak. I saw how you didn't let bitterness take root, even when the pain ran deep. All of that matters to me. None of it was in vain. While others measured your progress by public visibility, I measured your progress by private surrender. And beloved, you passed the test. I didn't stay silent to hurt you, I stayed silent so you'd learn to hear me in new ways. Because you were never truly without my voice. You just had to learn what it sounds like when it's no longer wrapped in emotion or expectation. My voice is steady, even when your world isn't. My nearness is secured even when your feelings shift. And now that you've walked through this silent valley, you'll never again mistake stillness for absence. You'll know deeply, permanently, that I am here, always. That my silence is sometimes the loudest way I say I trust you. I trusted you to carry the assignment. I trusted you to walk through the fog without abandoning your faith. And now, I'm stepping forward not with correction, but with confirmation. I am with you. I never left. And I'm about to speak again, not in riddles, but in clarity. Not in whispers, but in breakthroughs. What you carried in silence will now be celebrated in the open. What you protected in private will be honored in public. And you'll no longer need to ask, "Where were you, Lord?" Because you'll realize I was right here, measuring your weight not to judge you, but to make sure you were ready to carry what's next. And now you are. You've been holding it together for longer than anyone realizes. On the outside, you've been present, doing what needs to be done, showing up where you're expected, saying all the right words, but on the inside, your soul had been begging for rest, for renewal, for something deeper than just survival. The weight has worn you out in places you didn't even know could grow weary. This hasn't just been a delay, it's been a draining journey. You didn't lose your faith, but you've lost pieces of yourself along the way. Joy that once came easily now feels distant. Passion that used to ignite your spirit has dimmed to a flicker. Confidence that once steadied your steps has been buried under layers of doubt and delay. And through it all, you've whispered silently, "Lord, I'm tired." Not just tired in your body, but tired in your soul, tired of hoping and seeing no change, tired of staying faithful when it costs you everything, tired of pretending to be okay when deep down you wonder if you still have anything left to give. That's why I came into your room tonight, not to tell you to keep going without help, but to pour fresh strength into what feels depleted. I came to breathe life into the parts of you that have been starved of peace. I came to restore, not replace, the beautiful pieces of you that got worn down in the tension of trusting me without results. You've waited well, but you've paid a price. You didn't give up, but it has cost you emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And I am a just God. I don't ignore what it cost you to believe through barren places. I restore what the waiting took. I redeem what delay tried to dismantle. Right now, I'm laying my hand on your weariness, not to push you further, but to fill you again. Not with temporary inspiration, but with deep, lasting refreshment that reaches beyond surface-level strength. I'm restoring the smile that once flowed from a rested heart. I'm renewing the vision that used to fill you with purpose. I'm bringing back the calm that wasn't dependent on outcomes, but flowed from intimacy with me. You thought you had to keep moving forward with whatever was left inside you. But I didn't design you to run empty. I didn't ask you to perform, I asked you to abide. And abiding means staying close, even when you're still. It means letting me fill the places you tried to keep functioning in your own power. You are not weak for needing rest. You are not faithless for feeling empty. You are human. You are beloved. And you are in the exact place where my spirit pours out the kind of strength that doesn't come from striving. I know how long this season has stretched. I know how many times you've told yourself, just a little longer, while silently wondering if you were lying to yourself. I'm not waiting for you to fix your exhaustion. I came to address it. I came to be the shepherd who makes you lie down in green pastures, not the taskmaster who demands more without refreshing what's already been given. You've carried things alone. You've prayed without results. You've encouraged others while silently running low. But I say to you now, enough. Rest. Breathe. Let me refill what you didn't know was even depleted. This is a holy restoration, not just of energy, but of identity. You're not just being replenished, you're being remembered. The version of you that dreamed freely, laughed without anxiety, and loved without fear, I'm bringing that heart back to life. You will not move forward with fragments anymore. I am completing what was cracked. You will rise again, not just to continue the journey, but to enjoy it. I'm not just restoring strength, I'm restoring delight, purpose, and peace that cannot be shaken. With the weight wore down, I am now rebuilding with my hands. They didn't just walk away, they walked away with pieces of you. They didn't just leave silently, they left a wound that no one else saw clearly. And yet you kept going. You didn't curse them. You didn't retaliate. You didn't even demand an apology. You carried the sting privately, learning to smile through disappointment and to pray through the sharpness of betrayal. What they did in secret broke something open in your spirit, but you brought the brokenness to me instead of letting it turn into bitterness. A choice did not go unnoticed. I saw the silent tears, the sleepless nights, the inner dialogue you replayed again and again, wondering what you did wrong. I watched as you tried to convince yourself to move on while part of you still longed for clarity, for closure, for just one word of truth. But they chose deception. They chose distance. They chose to protect their own image instead of honoring your heart. And I have seen it all. You have not been overlooked. And more importantly, you will not be left empty after what they stole from you. I am not just a comforter, I am your restorer. I am the God of justice, and I do not let betrayal write the final word over your life. What was done to harm you is now becoming the foundation of something greater. You lost trust, but you gained something deeper: discernment, strength, and an awareness of me that no one can take from you. You discovered the truth that when people fall away, I draw near. And now, I am stepping in to do what only I can: restore not just your peace, but your dignity. I'm going to place you in situations where the very ones who dismissed you will have no choice but to witness your elevation. But this will be about revenge, it will be about honor. I am not preparing a moment to embarrass them. I am preparing a table to honor you. Because you chose to bless when you could have cursed. You chose to heal instead of harden. And that heart posture, though costly, positioned you for double. What they took, I will replace with something greater. What they said, I will silence with my favor. Where they rejected you, I will surround you with relationships built on truth, loyalty, and my spirit. You will not live the rest of your life bracing for more betrayal. I'm healing the root so that you can open your heart again, not in fear, but in faith. You won't have to protect yourself from connection anymore, because I'm placing people in your life who know how to cover, not cut. I know how betrayal makes you build walls. I know how it tempts you to isolate, to doubt, to always look over your shoulder. But I'm removing that weight. You don't have to live guarded, I will guard you. You don't have to shrink in order to be safe, I will surround you. And what's coming next will not just make you feel restored, it will shout to the atmosphere that I am a God who sees and rewards what man tried to erase. They thought your silence meant you were weak, but your silence was sacred. It was proof that you trusted me more than your emotions. And that trust is being honored. I am rewriting your story not with scars, but with strength. Not with regret, but with revelation. You're not going back to who you were before they betrayed you, you're rising into who I've always known you could be after the fire. I don't just restore what was lost, I increase it. You didn't just survive their betrayal, you've qualified for double. Double clarity. Double joy. Double favor. Double honor. Because you chose me in the middle of the wound, and I always honor those who let me do the healing. Amen.